Hello and welcome to Autology, the weekly podcast that brings you the latest on automotive technology. This week's episode is called Lighting Ahead, Staging the Future Vehicle Design. And you're here with me, Paolo Martino, Associate Director at IHS Markit, and Todd Morgan, Chief Technology and Innovation Officer at Lumax Industries, alongside Sasha Clapper, IHS Markit Lighting Expert. Hello to you both, and thank you for joining this week's episode of Autology.
Good. Thank you for the invitation. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Paolo. Thanks for having me.
Good. So this week's episode is all about how the vehicle lighting is influencing the automotive design in the coming years. So the first question that I really have for both of you, and I'll start with you, Todd, is of course looking back at your experience, long experience in the industry. What are the major changes over the last decades, and how do you see the future of the lighting in the vehicles, right? And of course, I'm talking about all areas here: exterior lighting, interior lighting of the vehicles, and so on.
Okay, so maybe I can first start with what hasn't changed, and what hasn't changed is our focus and priority on safety. And all throughout my career, and probably long before me, that has always been a number one priority for us, to ensure that we provide a safe environment for our customers to drive. But looking back into the past, I recall that we had seal beam programs. I'm not quite that old, so I wasn't designing those, but we did have some in production when I first started. But then follow that was really these complex reflectors, where you had clear lenses and you could see inside the lamp. And this is where you first started to see the jewel of the vehicle being discussed. Then it was really about HID and performance and xenon. And although this really never came to be such a big topic in the US because of cost and glare concerns, in Europe this was very popular technology. Then we looked at AFS. This is where we start to see some movement. We add some functionality. You start to talk about motorway beam and dynamic bending and all kinds of interesting things. Again, here you're looking more at visibility and performance. And then after that, LED starts to come, and that really uncorked a lot of new opportunities. We talked about performance and color temperature, and this was really a new ball game, and this is where the studios really started to get quite excited. Then we have ADB, or glare-free, or matrix headlamps, as you want to call it. And this was really a quantum leap in terms of safety and performance. And then most recently, we start to see some applications for laser. And I think there's there's still some opportunity there. There's cost, and there are some technical limitations with the technology today, but we can see it starting to come to some level of implementation. Of course, on signal lighting, it was about bulbs, and LED became much sooner in there. And this was really driven because it's less power. We're talking about the barrier for entry was much less, and it was really about style. And of course, DRL was a huge game changer. You saw it on a few of the German OEMs where it really took off. And now we started to talk more and more about signature, and we'll talk more about that, I think, later in the interview. And on the interior, of course, we had map lamps back in the day, and then you started to see some customization with color. And here's where we start to talk about this level of personalization became a hot topic. And now you see illuminated fabrics, you see a very nice ambiance, and you see the push to be more comfortable in your vehicle. And I think this is where interior lighting is going to play a bigger part in the future. I think going forward, you're going to see more functionality. You're going to see new creative optical systems. Efficiency will be a big topic, and the reduction of power, reduction of power and more improved optical efficiency also will drive cost. And you have some new canvases with EVs. You can start to play in the grille, full deck lid lighting. We can talk about image projections. There's all kinds of interesting things that can come in terms of lighting. And last but definitely not least is this topic of ADAS. We're on the four corners of the vehicle, and our lighting guys. I think one of the things that we like to do is take these ugly technical things and make them look cool. So I think there's still, even with autonomous, I think there's some great work that can be done with lighting.
Awesome, that's great. Thanks a lot. And what's your take on this, Sasha?
Yeah, I mean, Todd already mentioned a really, let's say, big topic. It's the LED, which was really the game changer here in the lighting industry. And I think also here, and I also with my background at IHS Markit, or which we are forecasting actually in the future, we see that LED will continue to take over the market of the vehicles. I mean, there's no questions around there anymore. I mean, the bigger questions here now are really, like also Todd already mentioned it. It's all around ADB, glare-free high beam, matrix lighting. I mean, this is a future. I mean, we see already quite a lot of vehicles on the street, and looking ahead by 2027, we're looking about market penetration of 20 to 25% of glare-free high beams. I mean, these are the questions actually: how the glare-free high beam will be designed, which technology will be there in the background, and also the other topic Todd mentioned already. We see a really fast-growing market for ambient lighting. There's a huge demand for colorful interior, also in combination with some sensors, some intelligent interior lighting. Here we see a clear path and a growing market. I mean, generally, I can say, looking at the lighting, it's not anymore a commodity. I mean, lighting really became a design element for the cars. And also the car buyers, they're increasingly aware of what lighting can do, what cool features you can have with lighting, also looking specifically in the interior. Also the laser, they kind of enjoy because it gives a really nice driving experience in the night.
Yeah,
This is
yes.
pretty roughly.
Yeah, no, that's great, Sasha. Thanks, and thanks also to you, Todd. So I guess that this goes well with my follow-up question here, right? Because I mean, we always listen in the industry, right, regarding lighting, you know, keywords like design, style, visual experience. I mean, I've heard multiple times the phrase "lighting is the new chrome" and things like that, right? So again, a question to both of you: how do you see the change of the design language in the automotive market according to this, you know, keywords that I have just mentioned?
I love the term lighting is the new chrome. I'm a car guy, and I love old cars. And when you look back at the 50s and 60s and you see what the studios were doing with chrome, is what you start to see now with what we're doing in the 2021s and 22s and 23s and 25s with lighting. And I think this the opportunities now the studios see, and now that they see these opportunities, now it's really just a matter of picking the right technology to deliver the function that they're looking for. And like I mentioned, DRL was really a game changer for us on defining signature. But there's more and more push on this signature, and you see many of the vehicle reveals, and I love vehicle reveals because half of them now are just basically a dark room showing the headlights or the rear lights or what the vehicle could look like. So you see very clearly that lighting is playing a very important part in defining the what the studio wants to deliver, what they want to see in the night. Animation, I think, is also a hot topic. As you walk up to the car, the studios want to welcome you to their vehicle, and that level of personalization. The big question will be what level OEMs will want you to personalize their vehicle, and I think this is a topic for further discussion. But I think the studios are really looking to use that welcome and goodbye features as you join the car. And of course, communication, car to X, we can talk about charging status. There's all kinds of interesting things that you can do. And I think Sasha also talked about this image projection. This is another way, so now we're not only looking at using light on the vehicle itself, but also projecting images and logos and different patterns around the vehicle as you come up to it. So I think it's a really exciting time to be in the industry.
I actually would say, Paolo, because as you said before, lighting is the new chrome. Yes, I also like this kind of expression. But I have the feeling that this is a quite old expression, because I would even like to take it a step further, because chrome is not intelligent, but lighting is intelligent. So you can actually say, yes, lighting is just more than design. Lighting is also an intelligent design, I would say it here. And I mean, what we also see that lighting is leaving the classical positions in the vehicle where you found the headlamp. It was one right, one left. And if you look at the rear of the vehicle, there was also one right and one left. Maybe you had the central high mounted stoplight. Okay, but anyhow, these were the classic positions. And what you can now see that the lighting is actually leaving those positions. I mean, Todd also mentioned it. I mean, you have illuminated grills. So you have a pretty new canvas actually where you can play with light, illuminated logos or also other signatures on the vehicle. I mean, it's all it's all about staging the vehicle. It's all just giving an overall experience of the vehicle with the lighting features here. And also the projection. I mean, it's not only that the lighting is mounted on the vehicle that you see the light on the vehicle, also with the projection, you can go in the near field of the vehicle. You can project cool logos on the street. You can give navigation indications on the street, and so on and so on. I mean, you see there's happening quite a lot here in the lighting industry. And also if you go and look at the ambient lighting, also there you can have now intelligent ambient lighting which is connected with some sensors, that it's also giving you warning signs as a driver inside of the vehicle, and also all around the design of the vehicle. I mean, it's also brand diversification. Every brand can have its own lighting signature here.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Absolutely. Okay, so now switching a little bit the topic and going more into the mega trend side of things, right? I mean, we all know that there are, you know, the famous mega trends impacting the automotive industry. I mean, both today but also in the future, right? And of course, one of which is electrification, right? So we see a lot of OEMs, majority of the OEMs, accelerating, right, their efforts in bringing EVs. Battery electric vehicles, full hybrids, plug-in hybrids on the roads. Are there any, you know, impact regarding the light EV industry coming from this mega trend here? And if I can also ask you a little bit further, how does this impact the emerging markets, for example, like South Asia, where we will see an increasing production volume in the future? With respect, for example, to Europe and North America, which will be a little bit more stable in volumes, pretty much.
Well, you know, on EV, I think it's about efficiency, and it's a really a key topic here. And we look at lumens per watt, for example, as a key metric. And this is all I mean, of course, we're talking about power consumption, but this is all driven by optical efficiency. So for us, it's really a matter of choosing the right light source, choosing the right optical system, and obviously then you'll be using less power. You know, halogen bulb is 55 watts, and you can get an equivalent performance, 16, 19 watts with LED. So this is really a key thing, and I think we want to continue to see that drop. But power is the obvious thing, but all of this behind the efficiency is also other topics. If you are converting power into light and not into heat, it means you don't have as many heat sinks, you don't have as much package space required. So this also translates to a weight savings, which is important. And we're also focused a lot on new weight saving technologies, different plastic materials, different metal materials that we can use to reduce the mass of the vehicle, and all this is going to help the distance and the range of that vehicle. We also see new functions like charging status. You know, it's you see it already on a couple EV players out there that that have some really, I would say, very creative ways of communicating to their driver that the car is charging and what is the status of that charge. So I think this is really a really nice, interesting way of doing it. Sasha already also mentioned this grill area. You know, you don't have the big air intake, you don't have the big engine that you need to manage. So the grill is really a fun place to play and further expand on that signature that we were talking about, and you know, and also package sensors. You know, and you know, because that's also the future. One of the I would say the conflicts on EVs is really you know, the studios also want their vehicle to look like an EV, you know, so you know, we're making all these efforts to reduce power consumption for the main functions, but at the same time studios want to add functionality, they want it to make it look interesting. So it's really a challenge for us in the industry to find that sweet spot between the two. Moving to the emerging market, you know, all the things that I just described on efficiency, you know, you have that second impact, and that second impact is a reduction in cost. So all the good things that we're doing to improve efficiency, to lower power consumption, all that also translate into lower costs, which is very attractive for these emerging markets, which are very cost conscious. And you know, especially I'm a Lumex guy, and you know, one of the things that we really push is try to bring innovation into this emerging market and mainstream market as quickly as possible. So all these things really play very well into that, and we think that these emerging markets are a great place to bring new innovative technologies.
Yeah, I mean, we also see that actually from the forecast side. That when we're looking at the emerging markets, or specifically India or all the ASEAN countries, we see that there's also a growing, let's say, awareness of these technologies. The car buyers also there, they want to have these technologies. They want to have cool cars with cool features. They want they want to show the car, experience the car also here. And so for that, we see, of course, we see a small gap there. Looking at Europe, because I think Europe, the European market is leading here in terms of lighting, but we see it also coming that the emerging markets there, they will quickly adopt also new lighting technologies. I mean, we see it already that they're really quickly also adopting, first of all, the LED in their headlamps and tail lamps. And then also when we are looking at more complex system, ADB systems, also there we see it coming here in the emerging markets. On the other hand, talking a bit about the EVs, what I'm currently seeing that, or specifically looking at all those EV startups, which are actually popping up lately. I mean, they all want to have actually a state-of-the-art lighting. They are all looking for, first of all, cool looking headlamps. They want to make it, as Todd said, looking like an AV, but also they want to put a lot of content in there. So they're already experimenting with some high pixel resolution headlamps and so on. I mean, it seems for me they're a bit more open to experiment with these lighting technology, and also really clearly it's clear brand diversification. If you have a cool light signature, everybody can see you have a cool EV from this and that startup. I mean, it's all about, as I already mentioned before, it's all about staging the vehicle here in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So then let's continue on this mega trend topic, right? And of course, beside the EV trend, as you both have mentioned, another big mega trend is autonomous driving, right? So what major challenges does this mega trend bring to the lighting industry also in the coming years, right? Because we know that autonomous driving is coming. But in the coming years in level 4 and level 5. So what do you think will be the challenges associated with this?
Yeah. My friends joke with me that with autonomous vehicles, why do you need headlights, and why, aren't you working yourself out of a job? And for me, it's really about how the industry is changing, and we are just playing with different wavelengths. Cameras need light. Yeah, we may look at also infrared. There's some really interesting technologies out there where you're using gated IR. So you're changing the way and looking at the way that you play with light, and instead of optimizing beam patterns for the human eye and the human driver, we also have to think about how we can optimize beam patterns and whatever wavelength you choose to support the cameras. So the vehicle needs to also see. So I think this is a really interesting topic for us, and it actually makes our industry much more fun. And I think it's also what I mentioned. Lighting guys, our key skill here is taking ugly technical things and make them look cool. And if you look at these demonstrations of these autonomous vehicles that are driving around. Okay, my son thinks they look cool because they have all these robotic things stuck on all of them. But I think the studios are thinking maybe slightly different, and I think this is where the lighting industry can really help bring these technical topics and optimize them and make them look like a smooth looking vehicle. As far as challenges go, is keeping these sensors clean, and keeping them ice free and removing the dirt. We do have some experience with that, with headlamp washers and things like that. But obviously, we need to take this another step forward, because now we're not talking about just cleaning some dirt off of a lens. We're really this is a safety related item, and I think that's one of the bigger challenges, and something that we work quite heavily on. So for me, autonomous driving is chock full of new opportunities and possibilities for the lighting industry. We're just allowing the vehicle to see better, and that where the priority will shift rather than the driver.
I would also say, if you look at the interior of the vehicle, and we were speaking before also about the growing market for ambient lighting. For ambient lighting, different sensors or more sensors actually it's a cool thing, because what we do see that some vehicles actually, or some ambient lighting, they're connected with some ADAS sensors. So for example, if you have ambient lighting in your door trim, and you want to have it blue or green or whatever color you want, and you're driving and suddenly a vehicle is approaching from behind, the door trim ambient lighting will flash in red, which is actually giving you an indication or a warning sign. This is actually only possible because also the ambient lighting here is connected with the sensor of the vehicle. So for that, it is actually a cool thing to have these sensors also on the vehicle. But the other question is, also talking about ADAS or autonomous vehicle. Looking at the near future, or even a bit a step ahead, I don't see that suddenly there will be only autonomous vehicles on the street and no more, let's say, traditional car where you have a steering wheel. So for that, you still also need for autonomous vehicles still some lighting functions here, because your car needs to be seen. Also, if you're looking at pedestrians or cyclists on the street, everybody needs to see the car. You need position lights. You need, looking at matrix lighting, maybe this might be another question if you still need that high resolution pixel lighting functions of your vehicles. But in any case, I don't see lighting is going away from the vehicle only because you have a self-driving car. I could even think about even more extreme lighting designs putting on the vehicles. I mean, some people, they're already talking about putting some commercials on the vehicle, some shining commercials and so on. I mean, you see that there is still a lot of flexibility and a lot of things to explore with the lighting. And I don't think so that autonomous vehicles, they will suddenly make it not necessary anymore to have lighting in your vehicle.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great. So let's switch a bit gears here and let's talk about more about innovation and technologies, right? And I mean, I'm curious to hear from you on how do you think the new technologies are, trickling down to the mainstream vehicles, the volume vehicles, let's say, and also, I mean, back to the emerging markets kind of topic, right? I mean, how they are penetrating those markets. Do we see any kind of acceleration here lately, or is it something that, I mean, it's bounded to come with a more calm pace in a certain sense?
Yeah. I think I go back to my original speech, and we were talking about sealed beam to complex reflector to HID. These jumps in technology were taking several years or decades. And now you see that the rate of implementation and new technology is accelerating. The other thing is that you saw several years to move from the premium segment into the mainstream. You didn't see HID on the mainstream vehicles for a long time, and now LED headlamp, it's moving very quickly. ADB you see already on mainstream programs. And I think this is driven a lot by there's a lot of competition in the market, especially some competition on the tier 2 side, because it's really an arms race. And this obviously is good for business because it drives down the cost, and it opens up new doors to these volume car makers. I always say safety is for everyone. Is just because you have a €100,000 vehicle, it doesn't mean that you should not be driving in a safe environment. So, it's really a priority for us to bring these new safety enhancements as quickly as possible to the mainstream or in emerging markets. If you look at India specifically, you already see a lot of chatter going on nearly every OEM about making EV vehicles, and that is we're just getting started in Europe with that. I mean, you have some key players that are well footed, but this technology is not taking decades to move. You're seeing it already. So I think all these things are great news for us, and it's huge opportunity because it's big volume. All this is really, again, driven by efficiency. The light sources are getting more efficient. There's a lot of competition on the tier 2. The engineering tools are getting stronger, so it allows us to implement these technologies faster and more efficiently from an engineering standpoint. So all these things are going to continue to accelerate. Software is going to become more and more important as well. So we're not so much a plastics company anymore, but the lighting industry is moving to an electronics and a software company, and we all need to keep pace with this evolution. And I really look forward to bringing new innovations to the emerging markets.
Yeah, I think generally, if you look, I mean, Todd already mentioned it before. I mean, it's pretty normal that in Europe that you have also already on volume vehicles some ADB technology, for example. We see the same trend in Japan. There you have also A segment vehicles which are driving around with ADB systems. So I mean, it is or it already arrived to the volume vehicles or volume manufacturers in Europe and Japan. I mean, what we don't see at the moment is that we have, let's say, a B segment vehicle or Opel Corsa or Volkswagen Polo, which has a micro LED inside there, or a DMD. I mean, this we don't see at the moment. That we feel we'll find some high pixel resolutions in the headlamps here. But anyhow, I mean, there's an increasing awareness of the customers, and everybody finds it suddenly cool to have a glare-free high beam. I mean, also the laser light, we mentioned it at the beginning. At the moment, it is still something for the premium OEMs, but I mean, we will see what the future brings for the laser headlamps. Yeah, looking down to the emerging markets, I mean, we always see there a kind of a gap of some years that the technology is coming also to the emerging markets. As I mentioned before, the LED already arrived there. The LED is yeah, taking momentum here in the emerging markets. But I mean, talking about less or more complex headlamp systems like the ADB, we will still have a small gap here, but we will see it also in the future there in those markets.
Great. And since we are talking about ADB, and for all the non-lighting expert listening in, of course, we are talking about adaptive driving beam here, right? I mean, one kind of news that was lately announced, right, is the fact that has been the usage of ADB has been approved in the US, right? So any potential there that you both see here with this technology in the US?
Yeah, first it's unbelievable that it took so long to get this approved for the U.S. market, and it's a bit of a shame because it's really really an amazing technology. And I think once a customer experiences it, they will not go back. So I think it's really a quantum leap in terms of visibility and performance and safety improvement. And it's been proven in Europe for years now. And for me, it's a massive opportunity for the U.S. market. There's still there's still a little bit of work to finalize all the regulatory hurdles, but it looks like we have the green light now. And and I believe that the end customers will truly embrace this technology. They will really see the benefit of it, and I see it really taking off. The U.S. market is cost conscious, so we have to put a little bit of keep our feet on the ground a little bit because of that the way the market is in the U.S. But I think this is going to be different than what we saw with HID, which really never took off in the U.S. I do believe that because you're really removing glare and in a market that's very sensitive to glare, I think that this will be a great enhancement, and we'll see some great success there.
Yeah, I mean, I was earlier this year. I was running actually a couple of scenarios here, because since I'm sitting on all those forecast numbers, I took just, let's say, all the voices I heard from the industry, and I kind of planned the scenario there. And with this ADB on the streets in North America, I mean, we are talking about a quite high market potential there. I mean, just to give you a couple of numbers, when we're looking at 2027, I mean, globally, without North America, we would have more or less a 20% penetration rate of ADB. And so I was running the scenario where I put also ADB on the North American market. And then in 2027, we reach up to 24-25% of global penetration. So that's actually a delta of 5%. And I mean, translating this also in, let's say, the overall vehicle production numbers, I mean, we're talking roughly about like 5 to 6 million vehicles, which will have ADB in by 2027. So you see here that there's quite a huge upwards potential here on the market in terms of ADB. And Todd also mentioned it before. I mean, there's a bit of cost consciousness here. I mean, looking at the take rates, I mean, what we are sensing right now, I mean, we don't see that the vehicles in the US will have suddenly ADB take rate of 50-60%. I mean, we still see that there's a lower take rate there. And I mean, also looking at different OEMs in North America, I mean, for example, they're all getting now their know-how for the ADB. I mean, we see, for example, Ford. They already have some vehicles on the street with ADB in Europe. So I mean, now they can just get ready and bring the ADB also North America, and also all the other North American OEMs they're currently really putting their feet on the ADB. And also what we have on the market there are also a bunch of Korean or Japanese OEMs in the market in North America, also they have already all the know-how for ADB headlamps there. So I mean, there's huge potential here on the market, what we currently see.
Okay, great, thanks. Okay, so let me go back for 1 minute to the topic that we have already a little bit touched upon earlier today, right? With respect to communication, so lighting as a communication. So we know that besides staging the vehicle and experiencing the vehicle, I mean, the lighting portion can be seen as a kind of way of communicating, right? And of course, we can separate here, I guess, three areas. So the displays, the projection, and the illuminated elements, right? So it would be, I think, interesting to know from both of you, right? How do you imagine the interaction with the future vehicle? Of course, both from the interior side of the car, so with the drivers and passengers, but also with the exterior of the car, so with pedestrians or other people on the streets, let's say, in the future.
I think first and foremost, we always have to remember there are regulations involved. So when we start talking about using icons or words or things like this, there are regulatory hurdles that we need to work collaboratively with the OEMs and everybody to clear. So there are some some details that still need to be worked out, from what's on a concept car to what we can actually put on the road. But the key here is really developing the technology. And I think the first thing is really, what we can do immediately is personalization. We all, I mean, everybody likes to customize their phone, with their apps and with their screensavers and things like that. My wife yesterday was ordering tennis shoes that she could design herself on the internet and deliver to her. So the desire for end customers to personalize their vehicle, and basically when they walk up to the car can communicate to you and to all your friends, hey, I'm yours. And I think this is something that is immediately possible without all these regulatory restrictions that we still need to clear. And you can use different technologies to do that. Displays, I think, are a great way. You see, a good example, I think, is the German OEM is using OLED technology to that is personalized. You can choose different things. The pixelization that is possible with OLED is absolutely amazing. The cost is still an issue, but I think that there are actions being taken to drive that cost down. So I think that's an interesting technology that we can do. Image projection, as we talked, it's static images are very common right now, but we're also working on the possibility of using a dynamic concept. So using DMD technology, for example, you could, in theory, project a full color movie from your mirror to welcome you to the vehicle. Or it can project images like my car is 50% charged, or it can be used to for your Uber driver to put your name on it, or something like this. So there's all kinds of things that can be possible. And obviously, as we keep going back to these illuminated elements, what you can do with the grille or the deck lid, there's all kinds of creative things that you can do to communicate different topics using colors and all kinds of stuff. And also on the interior, the same deal. You're in sport mode or you're in eco mode. All these things can be clearly shown to you and provide you a nice, comfortable environment as well. But of course, the regulation is key. Yeah, it's an important topic that we can't ignore.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to set my ambient lighting on green while I'm watching a football match with my headlamps. No, but actually, you said already one really key word taught here. I mean, it's all about personalization here. What we're seeing. I mean, I will bring it even a bit further. I mean, maybe in the future we will not be seen anymore as the driver or then the passengers here of the vehicle. We will be more seen as the users of the vehicle. We can experience on differently our vehicle. We can do cool stuff with lighting, interior lighting, personalization, also the projection we were talking about. I mean, another interesting topic here is also when we're talking about over-the-air updates. I mean, here also that there could potentially you could download in new icons, new cool stuff, which you can project around your vehicle. Also give it a further personalization here. I mean, there's a lot of stuff which can actually be imagined, and I think we're by far not at the end at the moment what we can do all with lighting here.
Great. So just before we wrap up today's episode, right? Let me end up with a kind of $1 million question and ask you both: what do you think will be the major changes of interior and interior design that we expect in future cars?
Well, first of all, I surely cars tomorrow will be EVs, yeah, and we'll be moving toward autonomous. At what level remains to be seen, but that's clear that's going to happen. So the technology will continue to accelerate, and I think we also have to think in the automotive industry, more like consumer electronics than the traditional automotive, because you don't have the powertrain that's kind of slowing down the development cycle. So I think Sasha mentioned it, these new EV players are moving very quickly, and they're looking and they're hungry for technology, and I think this will continue to accelerate the technology drive in our vehicles. Personalization, I don't know, it's like the 10th time I've said it, but you want the car to be yours, and on the interior you want to be comfortable, so it took me a long time to get used to adaptive cruise control. So when we start talking about level 4, level 5 autonomous vehicles, I'm definitely going to need some calming elements inside the interior so that I'm not constantly sweating during these autonomous modes. The communication and displays, I think this is a key topic. But we also have to look at functionality. I think there will be continuously new functions. We're going to be moving to higher resolution systems as well. There are some car makers out there that are already starting to this, but I think it'll be more common is subscription services. You have a ADB Lite with all the functionality that you need, but when you're in the city, you're not using it. So and then when you want to go on a road trip or a vacation, maybe you go on an app and you subscribe to this service, and it allows you to have ADB for the time that you want. So, as we add the functionality, we have to be careful not to drive up the price of cars as well, because we all want to sell more cars. So I think there are some OEMs already looking at that, but I think this will become more and more common. And obviously this trend on sensors and the topic of fusion and architecture, I think software is going to become a very important part of our business going forward. And as I mentioned earlier, all this stuff is great, but the big question will be, can the regulations keep up? We have to take those lessons learned from the ADB fiasco that we had in the US. We need to make sure that we get the mechanisms in place and the regulatory bodies sufficiently motivated to keep up with the rate of change that we're going to be seeing. So I think great stuff, great stuff coming in the future.
Yeah, I think also when we were talking about US and European lighting market, I mean, let's say the European brands or the market in Europe, I mean, they were quite advanced, or they are quite advanced at the moment in terms of lighting. I mean, now we see also that North America is stepping up there. But I mean, I always like to look over to China actually and have a look what is happening there. Because I have personally the feeling that looking at those Chinese brands popping up and also the Chinese EV brands here, that they are even more extreme and they even like more experiments with lighting there. So, I mean, maybe we will see also more innovation coming actually out of China there when we are just talking about the communication and the pure designs here at the vehicle. And another thing I really would like to say, because I mean, I remember when I started the forecast or the research about ambient lighting, I think it's now 4 years ago. I was telling to a friend and told him, okay, look, at the moment I'm researching ambient lighting, and he asked me, what is that? I mean, what do you want to do with this? I mean, I don't even know what it is. So I explained to him and was okay. I mean, 2 weeks ago he came to me and he told me, look, I bought a new car and I have a really cool ambient lighting. I can choose actually between 64 colors there. I can make the instrument panel different from the door trim panel and so on. I mean, what I see that more and more people are getting actually really aware of what you can do with lighting, that lighting is cool, that you can personalize your vehicle, that you, I mean, have an overall experience here. And I think also I'm talking over and over about experience, but I mean, that's the end. I mean, this is how I see actually the future there also, that we are more experiencing that our vehicles through lighting there.
Great. Thank you. And unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. So we reached the end of this episode. A big thank you to you both for joining Autology.
Great. Thank you very much. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And thank you to all of you listening in. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode at our autology@ihsmarket.com email. And you can find much more at autotecinsight.ihsmarket.com. Don't forget to hit all the subscribe, follow, and like buttons to stay on track with the latest Autology podcast. And we look forward to you joining us again in the next episode. Bye for now.